where news comes first. This is WECT's Carolina in the Morning.
It is Friday morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Townsend.
And I'm Kim Ratcliffe. And Friday morning looking pretty good. Friday afternoon looking pretty good. How about the weekend? I'm talking about the weather. Because everybody wants a good weekend forecast.
I know. And here we are. We're grinding down the last part of the work week. And so far this week's been pretty good. We needed that dry out. And fortunately, a lot of this week we've had hot and somewhat dry conditions. It's been humid, but at least it hasn't been raining in spite of the fact that there's been a lot of atmospheric moisture. Take a look outside right now. This is the Lollipop. Back in the background, that's the landfall. Here in the foreground, Wrightsville Beach, and in between the Intercoastal Waterway and one of the little inlets there, the Lollipop. Fun place to do a little water skiing. Nobody out there this morning, although I do anticipate it being pretty busy on the waterways over the course of the next couple of days as we see high pressure try to hold control, particularly for Saturday. Sunday might give us a better chance for some showers, but today, it's all systems go at the Loop. Take a look. Here's your average high temperature, 90 degrees. Over the course of the next 6 hours or so, we'll see temperatures rising back up to about 85 degrees by lunchtime. We'll get up to about 88 for Wrightsville Beach. Inland locations, probably 91 or 92 degrees. Places like Whiteville, Cerro Gordo, and Elizabethtown likely to move into the low 90s. The humidity will be an issue, but will the showers? I'll give you a briefing on that coming up in about 6 minutes.
In an emergency, a matter of minutes can make a difference between life or death and minor damage or total destruction. So the Wilmington Fire Department is working to keep their response times as quick as possible. And Carolina in the Morning's Lindsay Curtin telling us they plan to keep up their efficiency with some efficient new fire stations. So tell us all about it, Lindsay.
Good morning, Kim. Yeah, that's right. I learned from the fire department, based on their studies, it's not all about having several different fire stations, but rather fire stations in more strategic locations, more centralized fire stations based on the call volume history. And to accomplish the goal, the Wilmington Fire Department is actually going to take 4 of the current fire department locations and kind of consolidate them really into 2 locations. It's not just to put them in more centralized locations, it's also because some of these facilities really need to be up to date. Some of them are too small for the fire trucks or the new cars they have. Also, they're not handicap accessible, they're not very energy efficient, rather, so that's kind of a strain on resources as well. Now the stations included in this change, the 4 stations that will be chunked into 2 stations. It includes the station we're at now, the Wellington Station, as well as the Princess Place Drive Station, the Wallace Drive Station, and the one on Carolina Beach Road. Now, the new locations are going to be on Cinema Drive and on Shipyard Boulevard, next to Carolina Beach Road. So kind of right next to the WECT studios is going to be one of the new locations. And again, they discovered that after collecting a lot of data over the past couple years, these two new locations are very centralized. They're close to where a lot of the hot spots are, as they call them. This data can predict future call volumes, so they really think that these changes are going to help them respond to fires faster. Now, the cost of the project for each station is going to cost about $2.2 to $2.8 million. That all depends on the bids, and it all depends on what City Council says and what they approve. And the construction can start as soon as the beginning of the new year. So they're really pushing forward with this project. Reporting live in Wilmington, I'm Lindsay Curtin. Back to you.
All right, Lindsay, thanks very much. This morning, we're getting a look at some of the dramatic photographs taken of the Boston bombing suspect just moments before he was captured by police. The photos published in Boston Magazine showing a bloodied, exhausted Dzhokhar Tsarnaev with a red laser target on his head. The magazine saying it received the photos from State Police Sergeant Sean Murphy, who was working during the massive manhunt. According to the Boston Magazine, Sergeant Murphy gave them the photos because he was angry with the controversial photo of Tsarnaev on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Murphy has been now suspended from his job pending a duty hearing to take place next week. New this morning, a judge in New York has ruled that developers of the World Trade Center cannot collect more insurance money for the September 11th attacks. The developers first sued United and American Airlines in 2004, claiming their negligence resulted in the terrorism attacks and destruction of the Twin Towers. The airline saying they should not be held liable for damages since developers had already collected on the airline's insurance policies.
And new overnight, new video released showing last month's deadly building collapse in Philadelphia. Take a look. Watch the upper right corner as the camera on this city bus records a wall collapsing onto the thrift shop. Some people nearly ran right into the path of a truck as it turned onto another street, and you can see the huge dust cloud building as nearby cars speed away. What the camera on the SEPTA bus can't show is what happened inside the Salvation Army thrift shop, where falling debris buried several people. The collapse killed 6 people inside that thrift shop and injured 13 others. Riots continue in Rio de Janeiro this morning. Demonstrators burned trash in the streets and looted local stores. Police were deployed to the scene and fired tear gas to disperse the crowds. Protesters are calling for the impeachment of the state governor, who's been the target of rallies since they began last month. Media reports say police detained at least 15 people. Organizers have plans to protest during Pope Francis's upcoming visit to the city for World Youth Day. In Egypt, massive outrage over a speech given by the country's interim president. Supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi rejected the first public address made by the interim leader, Aldi Mansour. Mansour pledged to restore stability and security to Egypt. Muslim Brotherhood supporters rallied outside a mosque in Cairo and said Mansour was not a legitimate representative of Egypt. More protests are planned today.
Well, we're just a few weeks now into this year's Atlantic hurricane season. It's now approaching the time in August when many folks in the area get very concerned about the season. That's because North Carolina ranks 3rd for having hurricanes make landfall on our coastline. Last night, down at the King Neptune restaurant at Wrightsville Beach, author Jay Barnes gave a presentation highlighting his new book. The book chronicles the history of hurricanes that have impacted our state. He's calling on locals to help him fill in the gaps and give personal testimony to what the storms were really like.
But largely it's a collection of stories as told by individuals that were, either saw or experienced the flooding and the destruction here along the beach from all the different hurricanes.
In all, there were more than 400 storms covered in the book. Actually, Jay's book, This Is It, is the 4th edition of the book he first put out after Bertha and Fran hit back in '96. And in the new book, what's different on this one, he covers Irene, which affected us directly on the coast in 2011, and then Hurricane Sandy, the big superstorm that really affected the Northeast last year. All of that's covered in his new book.
All right, sounds good.
Both of you guys were here for Fran and Bertha that year, correct?
I was in town.
Yeah. Where were you? Do you remember where you were?
I was working.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was working as well, but and probably for both of us, we had gone through a period where we had not had any kind of hurricane activity, and it was like a shock when we first had it. Here it is, really.
It was one of those, you got to be kidding me. And then Bonnie, and it seemed like the norm. Every summer we were experiencing a landfalling tropical system here in southeastern North Carolina. I was sleeping on the sports couch, on the old sports couch. I would pull in the 24-hour shifts. Seems like a long time ago. Probably because it was a long time ago. So we take a look at the First Alert photos that we've been seeing coming in. This is just gorgeous, isn't it? Lake Waccamaw, man. I got to get over there. Columbus County, those lake levels still pretty high. We're seeing that water come up close to some of the docks out at Lake Waccamaw. So move throughout the day today. Hazy conditions this morning. Perhaps you were trying to get your exercise in for the morning time, getting a run in or perhaps a walk outdoors. Get it now before that sun really gets going. Sunrise coming up here in about 6 minutes. With that haze and that muggy condition, those muggy conditions, as soon as the sun comes up, it's going to get sticky quick. Mostly sunny skies expected through lunchtime. So if you're headed out perhaps for a bite to eat, just have the sunglasses ready. Ultraviolet light index of 10 today, so you'll definitely want to have sunscreen on if you're going to be outdoors for any prolonged period of time. Hot conditions this afternoon. Notice I put the heat index in triple digits here, potentially for the late afternoon hours as we head to 4 o'clock or so. And then by dinner time, I think that we'll see mostly clear skies with high temperatures falling quickly with some clearing conditions tonight. I think we'll get down into the low 70s. Of course, we'll talk much more about this. Take a look at the extended forecast as well. But chomping at the bit to get you out the door for your Friday morning commute is our own Caroline Waltrip. Hey, Caroline.
Hey, Colin. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. We're starting this morning off on a very good note. No accidents or issues to report right now. So let's go ahead and take a quick look for you here at the roads. We're focusing in on 3rd and Dawson Street for you here. If you're trying to head towards downtown, you can see open roads. Or if you're trying to head over the bridge, down on Dawson, or up the bridge on Wooster, again, you should have no problems at all. But we do want to give you a heads up if you are planning to travel to Wrightsville Beach the week of July 29th. Now, starting on Monday, July 29th, the entire Wrightsville Beach drawbridge will be closed to drivers starting at 11:30 p.m. until 5 a.m. Tuesday, July 30th. Now, DOT says drivers can also expect the same closure Tuesday and Wednesday nights. This closure is necessary so crews can paint the bridge structural steel. Emergency cars will have access to the bridge, and officers will be stationed at each end of the bridge while this closure is taking place. So be sure to mark your calendars for July 29th there. And that's a look at your Friday First Alert traffic.
First Alert Traffic is sponsored by Andrews Mortuary and Crematory. From simple cremation to traditional burial services, the Andrews family has proudly served the Wilmington community since 1850.
Now, with the WECT mobile app, you'll never be without WECT News. From WECT.com to text and email alerts for breaking news and weather. WECT News. It's all right here in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by your Honda dealers of the Carolinas.
Good Lord. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we've seen protests get out of hand here in the U.S., but in the wake of the George Zimmerman trial, thankfully, we haven't seen anything like what's actually happening right now in Madrid. Video just into the newsroom where thousands taking to the streets demanding the resignation of the Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy. The protests turned violent after midnight after rioting police clashed with some protesters, resulting in at least several people being arrested and injured. Earlier in the week, opposition leaders said Rajoy should leave office because of allegations he received payoffs from a slush fund before his party won the elections back in 2011. With the heat on the rise here in the east and along the East Coast, the good news for us is hasn't really been overly dry. Residents out west, though, not as lucky. Thousands told to evacuate as more wildfires have sparked up in Southern California. Approximately 4,000 houses, condos, cabins, several hotels have all been threatened by the flames, which have already burned 23,000 acres and 6 homes. As of this hour, that blaze is just 15% contained. One of the best things about the Open Championship for us here in the States, Colin, Early results, and if you're like me, you maybe already checked at the cell phone. Zach Johnson still owns the lead after an opening round of 5 under. He's yet to open his second round. Tiger Woods, though, has. He's 1 under through 5 holes. He's just 2 off the pace at 3 under par. Colin, sticks early in the day.
I love it. Well, that's the advantage to having golf on the other side of the pond. And on this side of the pond, we continue to see some very calm conditions. Let's go outside live right now to our edge of the Atlantic, where really not much going on as far as the rip current risks today. They're going to be relatively light. We track this for you. Of course, a lot of people headed to the beaches here. Low rip current risks for all the Brunswick County beaches. As we move to the New Hanover and Pender County beaches, low rip current risks there as well, from Surf City all the way down to Fort Fisher at Curie Beach. Take a look at the water temperatures. 80 at the Wrightsville Beach Johnny Mercer Pier, 81 degrees at the 5 Mile Buoy, 82 down at the Ocean Crest Pier. So those warm water conditions will actually make it feel a little cooler in those locations because of the south and southwesterly breezes that we're anticipating throughout the afternoon. Ultraviolet light index today 10, so that's about as high as it gets. The EPA actually puts this out on a scale of 1 to 11 plus. 10's just about as high as you can possibly have it with limited sunshine and high sun angles throughout the day. You have to put the sunscreen on and keep it on, especially every time you get out of the water. The extended forecast here over the next few days, keep those temperatures up into the 90s or very close to it. 30% chance of precipitation as we go throughout the day on your Saturday. And then as we move into Monday and Tuesday, that's when the rain chance really starts to ramp up. We'll see showers likely, I think, as this trough of low pressure moves in from the northwest, bringing us perhaps some rain. Not that we need it, but might get it anyways as we head into early next week. Bob and Kim?
All right, Colin, thanks very much. Right now at 6:16, if you're looking to make some extra cash, you might want to consider flipping houses. Realty Track reporting there were more than 136,000 homes flipped during the first half of this year. That's up nearly 20% from a year ago and up almost 75% from 2011. Flipping is when a house is bought and sold within 6 months. Realty Track saying investors made an average gross profit of more than $18,000 on single-family homes, a 9% gross return. A recall to tell you about right now. Sears has once again issued a recall of nearly 800,000 Kenmore dehumidifiers because of new reports of fires and because many people did not respond to the first recall. When that first recall was announced last year, the Consumer Product Safety Commission said there were more than 100 complaints with more than $7 million in property damage. The recall covers 35, 50, and 70 pint dehumidifiers with a Kenmore logo. They were made by LG Electronics between the year 2003 and 2005.
Well, telling people how many calories they should have each day does not help them make smart food decisions when dining out. Researchers looked at the purchase habits of more than 1,000 people at a fast food restaurant that posted the calories of their meals. Well, they found providing customers with recommended daily calorie information or suggested calories for each meal did not help them use the information posted on the menu. This morning, we're learning that food allergies in children don't only develop from inside the gut, but the skin too. An analysis of 600 babies finds those with an impaired skin barrier, for example, they had eczema, are 6 times more likely to be allergic to eggs, cow's milk, or peanuts. Researchers say when the skin is compromised, it seems to trigger an allergic reaction against those foods. Well, you might miss your chance to win $100,000.
But you do not have to become a contestant on The Biggest Loser to lose weight. There's a Biggest Loser resort now. No cameras, no monetary rewards. Days are filled with seminars and workouts with trainers. On the show, contestants compete for $100,000 in prize money, but here the guests pay. The price, almost $3,000 a week. 4 of those resorts in operation right now, including in Chicago, Utah, California, and in New York State. 6:18 is our time right now, and temperature in the mid-70s. Looking pretty good for the weekend. Colin is right back with more on that. Plus, Friday means Pet of the Week time. All that straight ahead today.
guest that's on backup weather. 1 minute.
Oh, okay, I'm stuck. Hang on. Down.
Okay, I'm on.
Give us a mic check, please. Just talk 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Up.
Professor.
30.
Woo!
Mic
Okay,
check.
I'm here. Sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3.
You are watching WECT's Carolina in the Morning.
Well, welcome back. And Bob was right. Friday is Pet of the Week time. It's our favorite day of the week, isn't it, Professor? Huh? We've got Michelle with us. She's from Monty's Home and the Positive Partners Prison Program, and she brought in the Professor with us today. He's cute.
Thank you. He's a 5-year-old Beagle Basset Hound mix, and he's almost done with his training in New Hanover. He'll be available for adoption on Wednesday.
Oh, wow. Almost graduation day
Yeah.
for Mr. Professor right here. So remind folks exactly what the training's all about, where it takes place, and
We have dogs in both Pender County and New Hanover County, and we work with the inmates to train them, and they learn all their basic skills for obedience: sit, stay, come, good leash walking, and just how to be a nice family pet.
some of the hard work is already done for you.
Yeah.
Professor will come to you ready to go. Well, he is absolutely adorable, and I know after this round, Mr. Professor is part of the Gilligan's Island group. Is that right?
Yeah, we have the Professor and Marianne in New Hanover. It's our Gilligan's Island duo right now.
And you all, of course, these folks, the volunteers, get some of these dogs out of shelters and test them or sort of look them over to make sure
Yep,
they're...
we rescue them all from the Pender County facility, and we do temperament testing to make sure that there's no aggression issues or anything that might keep them from being a nice family pet.
All right, so really sort of a win-win for everybody here. We've got a dog that was rescued out of a shelter, and we've got him trained. We're giving the inmates some skills and giving them something to do by training some of these animals. So if you would like to adopt the Professor here, give this phone number a call, 297-1338. Thanks, Michelle, for bringing him in, and we hope that he finds a home soon.
Thank you.
All right, we've also got a list for you, for a contact list for you for lots of the different shelters in our area. Just go to WECT.com, then go to the Carolina in the Morning page and scroll down until you see the Pet of the Week icon. It's really easy to see. It's right there with the little puppy dog face, and that's where you'll find some of the other adoption shelters. And adoptions in Brunswick County are up, according to shelter workers there. And we have some adorable pictures of the happy pets. Look for the slideshow on the homepage of WECT.com right now. Bob.
All right, Kim, thanks very much. Meanwhile, dogs in New Hanover County wagging their tails to a new beat. The shelter taking part in a new program which uses music to help calm those animals down. Through the Animal Rescue MP3 project, they were able to get a free MP3 player and some tunes for the pups. The shelter supervisor saying it is making a big difference. The dogs still bark a little when people first walk up, but then moments later they calm down. Even some of them lay down.
It gives them something to listen to that's not a dog barking, that's not somebody shouting at them or instructing them. I think it's just, I think in the same way it would relax a person. When you turn on whatever it is you listen to relax, it has the same effect on an animal.
An automatic timer will turn the music on every day. The dogs listen to classical music blended with natural noises like rushing water or bird calls. Colin, that sounds pretty relaxing even for all of us humans, right?
It does, you know, and that's funny that that's the story that precludes this. Hats off to our producer for putting these together. This was the trending video that I found today. Don't roll it yet, don't roll it yet. Okay, all right, pause there. The guy in this video, don't roll it, so we roll it. The guy in this video works at a music store. He has a series of these. The best part about working in a music store. It's pretty funny stuff if you like sarcasm. Take a look.
Roll it.
He has a series of about 6 videos of different people in his music store testing out the equipment, obviously having a good time there. A wonderful video. We'll post that online right now as we take a look at your forecast. I wonder how that guy on the piano would do at the animal shelter.
Pretty good.
Maybe all the dogs would lie down. Just take a look at the commuter forecast for today. Things looking pretty good. We'll keep it at a green light. There is the potential for patchy fog, but not nearly the same amount that we've seen over the last couple of days here and there. But I'm not really anticipating too many delays. As of last check, most of the major locations reporting 10 miles of visibility. As we go into the afternoon, mild conditions. The shower not out of the question, but it's again going to be few and far between, similar to what we saw yesterday. And as we advance through the next several days, take a look at the 3-day forecast. 30% chance precipitation on Saturday. We'll bump that up to a 40% chance of precipitation. Meteorologist Eric Davis and I looking at the models as they go throughout the late portion of Sunday into Monday. It looks like we'll see some wet weather, but not everyone going to get wet. A trough sets up shop here over eastern North Carolina, and that trough allows, gives us that upper level support to allow for some showers and thunderstorms as we move into the early portion of the week. Looking for something to do this weekend, all sorts of things happening. One very cool event on Saturday, the Cameron Art Museum hosting the Civil War reenactors. The 1st North Carolina Company will be out on site there at the Battle of Six Forks, showing how the Civil War soldiers ate, how they lived, how they camped, and how they prepared for battle. It's one of the lesser-known battles of the Civil War that happened right there at Independence and 17th Street. Fishing game forecast for today, showing the best time to get out there and try some fishing, coming up at 11:20 this morning, and then again at midnight tonight. You're watching Carolina in the Morning on WECT.
Hey, Mike. One, two, three. Christina, creativity explosion happening.
You are watching WECT's Carolina in the Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Carolina in the Morning. We're at 6:30 right now this Friday morning, all working extra hard today to keep you up to date with the latest news.
That's right. First Alert traffic reporter Caroline Waldrop is taking a close look at all the traffic conditions for you this morning. Lindsay Curtin has details on some big changes for a local fire department.
And Bob Bonner hard at work this morning in the newsroom, bringing you updates on things happening all around the area and across the world. We'll have that straight ahead. Chris Collin is joining us right now. It is Friday morning. How's that weekend forecast?
I think it's looking fantastic, and the key part to the thing that you just said, it's Friday morning, and as you head out the door this morning, we have great looking conditions over at Wrightsville Beach. Notice that we do have a few clouds starting to develop offshore. I really don't anticipate that affecting your morning commute or anything else. Mostly sunny skies out across eastern North Carolina from Murphy to Manteo. All of North Carolina experiencing some dry conditions. Not going to be the case all weekend long. We will see some changes. They come in the form of some showers and maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms here as we head into your Sunday. But for today, don't worry about that. Only a chicken 10% chance of precipitation as we move into the late afternoon hours. I think that the sea breeze will move inland, but it may do so without causing too much of a disturbance. Daytime high temperatures over at Wrightsville Beach into the upper 80s, inland locations into the low 90s. We'll break down the rain chances for you day by day through the weekend and hour by hour coming up in about 6 minutes.
Thanks, Colin. A new law this morning that will affect your children. Governor Pat McCrory signed a law yesterday that requires public schools to teach children that abortion, smoking, alcohol, and drug use could result in a risk of a preterm baby later in life. Governor McCrory signed 43 bills into law yesterday. Another new law places minimum fines on drivers convicted of passing a stopped school bus carrying students. In Texas this morning, many abortion clinics may have to close their doors. And this comes after Governor Rick Perry signed one of the toughest abortion bills into law yesterday. The law closed most clinics in the state. The law, supported by Republicans, bans abortions after the 20th week of pregnancy and dictates when abortion-inducing drugs can be taken.
And looking ahead right now, today is the last day for you to file to run in the elections coming up in November, and we're keeping track of all of the filings for you. The most recent filing, former Brunswick County Commissioner Charles Warren plans to challenge incumbent Betty Wallace for the mayoral seat in Ocala. Now, Warren ran for re-election in the county commissioner's race in 2012, but he lost in that attempt. For more on the other filings in the area, go to our website, WECT.com, and look for the Politics tab under the local section on our homepage. This morning, drama continuing over control of Charlotte's Douglas International Airport. The airport is a connector flight for many people flying out of ILM. The state seized control of the airport yesterday. The city immediately filed a lawsuit asking for a restraining order, and a judge granted that restraining order, temporarily giving control back to the city until everything can be worked out in court. A hearing is scheduled in 10 days. Stay with us here on WECT and online at WECT.com. We'll continue to follow the story and let you know what happens there in the Queen City.
Also in Charlotte this morning, a story people all over the state are talking about, the future of the Charlotte Hornets. That's right, the Hornets. The NBA approved the name change late last night. The original Hornets entered the league in 1988 until moving to New Orleans in 2002. More recently, New Orleans changed their team name again, and that opened the door for Charlotte's owner, Michael Jordan, to bring the Hornets name back to the city.
I can't hear you cheering, but I know you are. The Hornets, of course, was the original franchise in Charlotte, and I know there are so many in the region who are excited by the return to that name.
Now, the Hornets will return for the 2014 season. That means one more season with the Bobcats. This morning, we are hearing from the parents of Trayvon Martin.
And they're speaking out after the conclusion of the trial of George Zimmerman over the past weekend. Zimmerman, the Florida man, found not guilty in the death of Trayvon Martin. Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin talked to Anderson Cooper about the days since the trial ended.
The change that we hope to effect is with the laws. We want to make sure that any teenager that's walking down the street can feel safe, that they won't be killed, and that they will make it home safely.
Sabrina Fulton added that she felt she needed to sit through every day of the George Zimmerman trial because her son was not there to speak for himself. The verdict has many across the country outraged, and we're told that a Peace for Trayvon rally is expected to be held tomorrow afternoon right here in the Port City in response to the trial verdict from Saturday night. That will take place 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the 1898 Memorial Site at 3rd and Davis Streets, according to the New Hanover County chapter of the NAACP.
Well, this morning, new security measures are in place at the National Security Agency after the recent leaks by Edward Snowden. System administrators like Snowden must now work with another colleague when accessing information. NSA Director General Keith Alexander says the agency is only out to prevent crimes from taking place. Snowden recently revealed that the NSA was gathering millions of U.S. phone records and intercepting U.S. internet traffic. Senator Lindsey Graham is getting some negative attention after some controversial comments about the Olympics. He suggested boycotting the 2014 Olympics in Russia if Russia grants asylum to former NSA contractor Edward Snowden.
All I can say is that I love the Olympics, but I hate what the Russian government is doing throughout the world. If they give asylum to a person who I believe has committed treason against the United States, that's taking it to a new level. The Russian government is doing terrible things throughout the world, and we're doing nothing in response.
I love Senator Graham. We've been close friends for 20 years, but I think he's dead wrong. Listen, why would we want to punish U.S. athletes who've been training for 3 years to compete in the Olympics over a traitor who can't find a place to call home?
Now, Russia is scheduled to host the Olympic Games beginning in February of 2014. We should mention those games will be here on NBC.
You know, when you work day in and day out to save lives, an efficient work environment is critical, especially when there's no time for mistakes. So to cut back on the possibility of slower operations, Carolina the Morning's Lindsay Curtin telling us the Wilmington Fire Department has some big plans. She's joining us now from the fire station over on Wellington Avenue in the Port City. Lindsay.
Good morning, Bob. You know, as it turns out, several fire stations here in Wilmington really need to be updated when it comes to being handicap accessible or being energy efficient or being big enough for all the equipment in the fire trucks. But instead of building more fire stations, studies have shown that putting fire stations in a more centralized, strategic location is actually more beneficial when it comes to call times and that kind of thing. So that's exactly what the Wilmington Fire Department is doing, including this fire station we're live at this morning, the Wellington Avenue location, Wellington Drive rather, or Avenue actually, sorry. They're going to consolidate 4 current fire stations into 2 separate larger fire stations and more centralized locations. And the fire stations included in this whole project are the Wellington Avenue, like I mentioned, Princess Place Drive Fire Station, Wallace Drive, and Carolina Beach Road. What they're going to do is build 2 new stations on Shipyard Boulevard near Carolina Beach Road and another one on Cinema Drive. Now, the determination was made that these were the best locations to put the new stations based on data that showed where the highest call volume is. The data essentially predicts where the bulk of future calls will come from. And, you know, each new station is going to cost between $2.2 and $2.8 million. That's based on how the bids come back. That's also based on what City Council says about everything, and the projects could start as early as the start of the new year. And again, it's to put the stations in a more centralized, strategic location, as well as make all those necessary updates that will keep everything up to code, because if you work in a stressful environment like a fire station, you don't need to worry about anything else like a less than perfect work environment. We're going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Lindsay, thanks very much. Hot weather around here, no doubt, this weekend. State health officials warning parents to be sure to protect their children. Already this summer, 21 children have died of heat strokes after their parents left them in a hot car locked up. So what can you do about that? One of the deaths taking place in North Carolina. Now WECT with some details on the new system that can help prevent the deaths. It's called ACT. A is standing for avoid heat stroke by never leaving your child locked in a car. C stands for create reminders by putting something like your purse in the back seat next to your child. And T standing for take action. If you do see a child locked in a car, immediately call 911.
Warm conditions are expected as we move throughout the day. Meteorologist Colin Hackman here in the First Alert Weather Forecast Center as we take a look at forecast conditions here across southeastern North Carolina. We started at Wrightsville Beach. Somebody already claiming their spot, my beach today. It's going to be a nice day to be right here as we continue to see little in the way of wind speeds. That'll change, however. Some folks headed out to try to maybe ride some of the surf. It hasn't been all that good over the course of the last 24 hours or so. Back to that summer flat conditions out there. As you take a look at Tidal Walk, the camera here at Tidal Walk actually refreshing. You can see beautiful conditions out along the Mason-Borough Sound. We'll get off that. Move on to the forecast here as we go throughout the day today. It's live TV. You never know what might happen or not happen. 86 degrees by lunchtime, mostly sunny skies. That's your midday forecast. So if you're going to get a run in, do it over the course of the next hour or two because it's going to get hot quickly. We're going to go from 76 to 86 by lunchtime, and then we'll move up almost to 90 degrees by this afternoon. Hot conditions, very similar to yesterday. Might see a little bit of haze out there as well. And then the heat index is going to be an issue for what typically would be your workout weather there, 4 o'clock or so. Triple-digit heat index values are possible. So my best advice to you, if it's a Friday afternoon, maybe you don't have to work tomorrow, you want to get that run in, you want to get outside, maybe a bike ride, put it off until dinner time or maybe even after dinner because temperatures will be falling tonight as we get down into the low 80s and then the upper 70s. So not so bad during the late evening hours with clear skies. Might feel a little bit drier as well. Those muggy conditions this afternoon is sure going to make it rough here in eastern North Carolina. Composite radar void of any shower activity. You take a broader view here, you have to go all the way down to Georgia to see any showers that are lurking in off of the coast down by Savannah. Other than that, not much going on yet, but a trough will approach us from the west as we head into your Sunday and Monday, bringing us an enhanced chance for precipitation. Not to say we won't see any showers. 20% chance today, maybe about a 20 to 30% chance for tomorrow. Daytime high temperatures get very mild in the afternoon. A couple of sea breeze-induced showers are possible as well, moving inland as we head throughout the day into the evening tonight. That's the latest here in the First Alert Weather Forecast Center. Caroline Waldrop joins us right now with another look at First Alert traffic.
Thanks, Colin. Well, starting this Friday morning, everything's looking great. No accidents to report right now, but we do want to warn you about a road closure in Pender County. Now, Stonehouse Road near Fenneltown Road here in Pender County is closed to drivers. Now, it's closed because Stonehouse Road is flooded from all the storms that we had last week, and DOT crews are working to get that clear for you. And the road is expected to reopen Wednesday, July 31st, so drivers be sure to avoid Stonehouse Road. Be cautious around the area and plan an alternative route if you are in Pender County. Well, let's go ahead and take a live look outside for you here. If you're about to head out the door to start your work day, you can see sunny skies for you here on Market Street and Princess Place Drive, and the roads are dry here, no problems. Open roads for you right now. Let's head on down the road here to Market Street near New Center Drive, and again, same story here. So if you're traveling on Market Street, you can expect a nice and smooth commute. And that's a look at your First Alert traffic.
First Alert Traffic is sponsored by Andrews Mortuary and Crematory. From simple cremation to traditional burial services, the Andrews family has proudly served the Wilmington community since 1850.
Now, with the WECT mobile app, you'll never be without WECT News. From WECT.com to text and email alerts for breaking news and weather. WECT News. It's all right here in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Neighbor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Charlotte on Highway 17 South, home of the Warranty for Life Advantage.
Stand by, Colin.
Standing.
5, 4, 3.
Well, the rain chances today are low. They're not nil, low. 20% chance of precipitation will reach a high temperature right at about 90 degrees again today. Upper 80s expected over the next several days, but more clouds and better rain chances, particularly as we go through your Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, where showers will be likely. Daytime highs there in the upper 80s, overnight low temperatures there in the mid 70s. We'll keep you up to date online, WECT.com.
My last one, it's slug carry. I pulled video from CNN, but it was just a helicopter video flying.
You are watching WECT's Carolina in the Morning.
And this morning, one of the country's biggest cities needs help. The city of Detroit declaring bankruptcy after years of financial freefall.
Later on this morning, we expect to hear from the Michigan Governor Rick Snyder, that is, who says this financial mess is some 60 years in the making. Melissa Molay has the latest right now from Washington.
Chapter 9 bankruptcy protection, $18 billion in debt, cash-strapped Detroit. This the largest municipal bankruptcy in American history.
This was a very difficult and painful decision, but if you look at it, there's no other viable option.
People across the country now looking at the once mighty Motor City with its vacant homes and boarded up businesses, fearing a similar saga in their town.
Well, you know, they've had a lot of economic decline, obviously, and a lot of bad management before they had actual corruption going back 30 years.
The city suffered a huge population decline. Hundreds of thousands of Detroit residents fled in recent years. Another big factor, auto companies that began opening plants in other cities. Then the companies here collapsed, taking the economy with them. The city will have to sell off assets, scale back basic services, but they insist it's business as usual. Still, many worried about pensions they were promised.
Every day you got to wonder whether you're going to get a paycheck.
The case will be closely watched by states like Illinois and California, which also have badly underfunded pensions.
Math wins. In the end, you cannot pay people money that you do not have. And so in the end, that's what happened to Detroit.
It could take up to 90 days for the filing to be approved.
Michigan Senator Carl Levin says the filing was sad but necessary for his city. Detroit, he believes, is on the rebound. Melissa Molay, NBC News, Washington.
And looking ahead today, the freshman senator from the state of Texas will be the keynote speaker of the Republican Party of Iowa's Summer Picnic. Senator Ted Cruz, who was thought to be weighing a 2016 presidential bid, will headline today's fundraiser. He also has trips to New Hampshire and Florida, two other key states in the presidential race scheduled for the summer. Cruz won his Senate seat in 2012 after an unexpected primary victory over well-financed Lieutenant Governor David DeHirsch. He is popular among Tea Party Republicans, but has not yet made any announcement about his intention to run for the presidency in 2016.
Also today, the President and First Lady will host a reception for the Foreign Diplomatic Corps at the White House. Members include ambassadors, diplomats, and other dignitaries representing foreign countries across the globe. President Obama will thank the group for their partnership and cooperation in light of an increasingly interconnected and interdependent global community.
Taking a look at the satellite and radar, you have to move a long way away from the port city to find any shower activity out there. That may not be the case throughout the entire day, but high pressure has started to set up shop here over eastern North Carolina and an advance of a trough that will move through late Sunday into Monday. We're going to see some pretty nice weather. In fact, the satellite and radar here as we switch over to the hour-by-hour forecast mode shows you temperatures as we go throughout the middle of the day today. Temps get up into the mid-80s. We'll see some showers firing along the South Carolina coastline, then back to the west. The trough starts to advance through the Appalachians as we head into your Saturday. The model indicating there will be more moisture offshore, perhaps a bit more starting to work its way into the middle of North Carolina. The potential for precipitation increasing as we head throughout your Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday, I think we'll see it increase again. Monday, that same trend continues as we'll see a better than 40% chance of precipitation as we start off the work week. So a pretty good looking forecast here over the next couple of days. Pretty good looking light suit, making it look even better than me. Bob Bonner joins us now with Just In. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, Colin, thanks for FaceTiming me with me this morning.
Yeah, this is nice, isn't it?
I'm going to kind of borrow on Caroline Waldrop's book right now. If you're waking up this morning on this Friday with plans of heading towards the mountains, well, there's some road traffic issues that you might have to worry about. A crack has closed a 20-mile stretch and is getting longer in the Asheville area. It's gotten wider since just Tuesday. The crack itself about 200 feet long, but the area around it is also starting to drop off. The affected area also affecting Mount Mitchell State Park. And this is just in from the Associated Press. Secretary of State Kerry, John Kerry that is, flying to the West Bank to press efforts for his new Israeli-Palestinian talks. The trip comes after Kerry met with Palestinian leaders in Jordan at odds and agreement on the general border of future Palestinian states. President Obama has also asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to work with Kerry in those discussions. And if you're like me, a parent, you'd do anything to help with the safety of your child. In India, panicked parents rushing their kids out of a hospital after reports of a gas leak. Those children actually the survivors of a food poisoning incident on Tuesday that left 23 children dead after they had eaten food that was contaminated with pesticides. Now, as for the gas leak, it was a false alarm. Fire alarms were triggered because of a faulty air conditioner. And Caroline in the Morning is back after this.
Oh, keep it tight. Okay. Sorry, my FB is in and out. Get it right, get it tight.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
What's going on? Oh, you guys heard me. I don't have my IFB. You know that song? I forgot how it goes, but it's a good song and it's in my head. Rolling Stones, Under My Thumb. That's not what I was singing, but Colin was.
First Alert Traffic is sponsored by Andrews Mortuary and Crematory. From simple cremation to traditional burial services, the Andrews family has proudly served the Wilmington community since 1850.
And welcome back to Caroline in the Morning. Right now, about 7 minutes away from the top of the hour on this Friday morning.
It's almost the weekend. We've got the area's biggest morning team working around the clock to bring you the news you need to know. First, we're going to go to Caroline Waltrip for the very latest on your Friday morning traffic conditions.
Thanks, Kim and Bob. Well, I've been in touch with dispatch all morning long, and there are no issues on the roads for you on this Friday. Great way to start your workday, so let's go ahead and take a live look for you here at the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge. Again, love ending things off on a good note here. Cars moving at the posted speed, no problem if you're trying to head towards Leland. And I spoke to Bob, the bridge tender, and he said there are no scheduled openings for today, so that will make your Friday a little easier. And that's a look at your First Alert traffic.
Good morning, I'm Lindsay Curtin reporting live in Wilmington today. And you know, getting to a fire fast, it's all about being located in a centralized spot. That's the goal the Wilmington Fire Department has in mind as they're starting a new project where they're going to take 4 current fire stations and consolidate them into 2 larger, more strategically placed locations. The whole thing's going to cost anywhere between $2.2 and $2.8 million, and things could kick off as early as the beginning of the year.
Here's a look at what's making headlines this morning. Dramatic photographs surfacing this morning of the Boston bombing suspect, one of them just moments before he was captured by police. The photos published in Boston Magazine show a bloodied, exhausted Dzhokhar Tsarnaev with a red laser target on his head. The magazine says it received the photos from State Police Sergeant Sean Murphy. Murphy's been suspended from his job as a result, pending a duty hearing next week.
A judge in New York has ruled that developers of the World Trade Center cannot collect more insurance money for the September 11th attacks. The developers first sued United and American Airlines in 2004, claiming their negligence resulted in the terrorism attacks and destruction of the towers. The airlines saying they should not be liable for damages since developers had already collected on the airline's insurance policies.
North Carolina public school teachers will now be required to teach children that there's a link between abortion and preterm births later in life. The measure was among 43 bills that Governor Pat McCrory signed yesterday. Another new law was passed that places minimum fines on drivers convicted of passing a stopped school bus carrying children.
Let's take one final look at the hour-by-hour forecast. I know a lot of people having plans to get out there today. If you have activities planned, vigorous activities, get it in early here within the next hour or so or later, because temperatures are going to rise steadily throughout the afternoon. Notice the chance for showers there. The slider bar at the top shows you the temperatures. They'll be falling back into the 70s as we head into the late afternoon and early evening hours, with the chance for some showers here rolling on shore throughout the late evening hours as well.
Thanks for watching this morning here on WECT. Stay tuned for the Today Show. More Carolina in the Morning on our sister station, Fox Wilmington.